In the interest of transparency, accountability, and fairness to voters, PSP proposes the following changes. 1. Upon formation of EBRC, announce the formation immediately and publish the current number of voters in each constituency based on boundaries in the last GE. 2. Identify the constituencies that require boundary changes based on fixed criteria. A. Constituencies with the number of voters falling outside the specified range can have its boundaries changed. B. The boundaries of constituencies with number of voters within specified range cannot be changed unless justified on the basis of necessity due to an adjacent constituency having voters falling outside that specified range. The basis for such changes must be published. 2. Respect voters by reducing the potential for gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is an attempt to manipulate the outcome of elections. It is an act of disrespect for voters. This is not acceptable, and we should reduce the potential for gerrymandering in our system. To achieve this, PSP makes the following proposal. We propose the introduction of major boundaries and minor boundaries. Major boundaries are meant to remain unchanged for many elections. Minor boundaries lie within the major boundaries and can be changed by the EBRC based on the criteria mentioned earlier. 3. Ensure political fairness by imposing a minimum time frame from finalizing boundaries to GE. We propose a minimum period of 3 months between the publishing of EBRC report to the dissolution of Parliament. 4. Enhancing independence in the composition, appointment, and reporting structure of EBRC. In our system, the Prime Minister has full control over the electoral boundary review process. This starts with who gets to be appointed to the EBRC. There is no law stating who gets to be appointed to the EBRC. There are concerns about potential conflict of interests for the EBRC to report to the Prime Minister. In the interest of enhancing the independence of the EBRC, PSP proposes that the membership of the EBRC should be codified into law to prevent any future abuses. PSP proposes that the EBRC be chaired by a High Court judge, with 4 other members being the CEOs of Elections Department, HTB and SLA, and the Chief Statistician. If the EBRC is proposing changes to the major boundaries, then these changes must be approved by a committee to be chaired by the Speaker of Parliament by right of his office, but he will not play any part in the review. The other members of the committee will be appointed by the President and comprise equal numbers of representatives from 1, the ruling party, and 2, the other political parties that have won at least 5% of the votes at the previous general election. This committee could be bipartisan or multi-partisan.
First, the EBRC does not have access to voting information and hence does not make its recommendation based on voting patterns. The EBRC does not consult the PAP or any other political party. Party politics do not come into this exercise. The EBRC comprises senior civil servants with no party allegiance. Therefore, unlike other countries where political parties are involved in the boundary drawing process, EBRC's compositions and processes are insulated from party politics. Hence, we do not have the horse trading and gerrymandering that have taken place in other countries. And I must say, if we get all political parties involved, present or future, it will politicize the whole process and not bring us forward, but bring us backwards. There are no legal issues in the EBRC's work which require a judicial official to weigh in. What is required is political neutrality integrity and objectivity which I trust all my public service officers have, whether they are in the EBRC or not, for them to discharge their duties without fear and favour. Second, let's look at Singapore's context. The term gerrymander is almost as old as electoral politics. It originated in the United States more than 200 years ago in 1812. Such allegations still persist, including in mature democracies. But in Singapore, every electoral division is more or less a microcosm of our nation. This is a result of our urban planning, where we do not want to have racial or religious enclaves in Singapore, nor do we have a rural-urban divide. Our voter base is also fluid. The voters in a given area are not always the same in every election, because they move around the whole island. For those members who have studied our electoral data, you will know some 200,000 electors change their residential addresses annually. 200,000 annually. Then there are many new first-time voters every electoral cycle. Taken together, these two factors alone will add up to a not insignificant churn of the respective constituencies' electoral roll, which calls into question any suggestion of the efficacy of attempts at gerrymandering.